Hello there, and this is another episode of Anything and Everything, and our topic for this one is searching about things through Google. So Google is a search engine, so it's like a tool where you can search about things. So there are people saying that, when you search through Google, it's an unreliable source or something, but essentially, when you use Google, it would depend on you on how you use it and how what do you call this how you goes through the search results and in a way deliberate whether the source is reliable or not. So Google itself is not the source, but it's a way for you to get to the source, right? So yes, you can find unreliable sources on Google, and then you can also find reliable sources, essentially journals of researches and studies can also be found through Googling the topic or through, searching for the journal or searching for this certain articles. And, when you do your research, you really have to exert an effort in, going through the search results and finding which ones are reliable. Of course, sometimes it would, you can see it on the name. And then if the website is being handled by a certain organization and that organization has, some sort of proven track record or a history of producing good articles, quality articles, then in a way you can be assured that it's probably a reliable source. But again, that's not that's not conclusive. So you still have to ensure that they haven't been in any way been they haven't in a way been linked to producing fake materials or fake news, fake articles, or disseminating misinformation or providing wrong information to people. All right, so I have to check those things. And in a way, I just like to say this because again, there are people who are saying that when you Google a certain topic, most likely the information that you provide is not reliable, they're not true, they're not facts. So I'd like to say that that's not true. Okay. Essentially, when I find a post on social media, certain hoax information about just like you have to turn off your phone about on a certain day because of passing meteorites, things like that, and you have to I do check on Google. And of course initially it's already complicated enough and it doesn't sound like it makes sense, but you still want to check if it's true or not. Okay, and then there are also those fake news, fake articles about people going through door to door and then giving out fruits, bananas with HIV on that they say you be careful not to eat what they give because they're, things like that. But again, it doesn't make sense. It sounds preposterous, but you still have to check just to make sure it's not true, that it's fake news. And of course, you have to do a feedback or reply to the person who's spreading or helping spread the misinformation that, hey, that's not a true article, that's not factual, it's a hoax, it's been confirmed that it's a fake news. So, please stop sending that to people, please stop sending that to your contacts, things like that. And then of course there are, certain news that you'd like to confirm, like a plane crash. Did a plane actually crash? Was there really a coup d'etat in Myanmar, or was there really were there really protests being held in America? So you have to check about those things. And then of course we get topics that are trending on Twitter and yet they are fake, being trended by fans or anti-fans, just to see the names of those people on the trending topics, and yet again the news is apparently fake, it did not happen. And you have to be very careful. Sometimes the posts that you see, especially on social media, are not reliable, so you have to check. And when you're checking that, I do use Google and again search through the results for you to know whether something is factual or not, right? And then another thing of checking if something is factual or not, or if it's reliable, is that you have to, find what do you call this, many sources that are saying the same thing, especially if these are based on research, and the research they are based on are also, provided, cited, which you can later check. And if you have the time, check it immediately, so that you know that the study, the research has been conducted in reality. It actually happened, so that you know that anyway it's factual, and then you can corroborate the evidences, the researches, and make sure that they did happen, and then that they are supporting a certain fact that you are going to need or present on your own study or whatever you're researching about. Right? For myself as a writer, I wouldn't know everything, and sometimes I would have these characters in my stories that are doctors, and I don't know much about medicines. Sometimes specific health conditions, so I'd have to go through Google and make sure to read up on a lot of articles, and to make sure that these articles are saying the same thing, and these are backed by evidences, backed by research studies, and essentially have been published and supported by credible individuals, right, reliable individuals, especially in the fields, let's say medicine, or what do you call this, legal, things like that, right? Whatever you're trying to research on. So again, essentially what I'm just trying to say is that using Google does not necessarily mean that the information you've gotten from Google is a misinformation, it's not factual. That's not the case. Again, it would depend on how you use Google, on how much effort you exert on reading up on the search results and going through them one by one. Yes, there would be some of them, even if they do provide the same information as the others, when they are not supported, they do not cite the basis for their statements, for their conclusions, then in a way they're not reliable, they unsupported. So you have to find other articles that are supported, that do provide citations, and that refer to certain studies, so that you could, be assured that there were really studies that have been conducted to support a certain statement or to support a certain conclusion. Okay, so I think that's the only point that I'd like to give in this certain video. Alright, so I guess that's it, and then later on I'll be talking about the kind of data I went through, and for that I did use Google, so that I would know what I'm going to experience along the way. Alright, so that's it for this one. Thanks and bye.